Raised by Wolves takes place on the mysterious planet Kepler-22b, where things aren't always like they seem, like the laws of life and death. Aaron Gizikowski's enigmatic sci-fi series Raised by Wolves introduces viewers to the strange new world of Kepler-22b, a distant planet where it appears the laws of life and death are different from on Earth. The HBO Max series premiered on September 3, 2020, and concluded with episode 10 on October 3, 2020. The finale, ironically named The Beginning, revealed the true nature of Mother's pregnancy, as well as what lies at the bottom of the mysterious pits. However, for all the questions that were answered, many more were raised, such as why death seemed to abide by different rules on this planet. In fact, it would appear that in Raised by Wolves, characters may not die at all. That changed after he read the pilot script for Raised by Wolves, which debuted in September on HBO Max. The writer Aaron Gizikowski had submitted the project for production consideration, and while the story spoke to Scott's sensibilities, he worried about repeating himself. Welcome to VOLO Media. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell icon. Campion died in the Raised by Wolves premiere. What actually happened to all the android children Campion? In the first episode of Raised by Wolves, Mother has 6 children. She artificially gestates 6 of the embryos she and father brought with them to Kepler-22b. The 6th child, however, does not survive the process and appears to be stillborn. Inexplicably, Mother seems to go against her logic-based program, holding the unmoving tiny body close to her with an expression that appears to be grief, despite being an android. She resists Father's insistence that they are to recycle the dead child as nutrients for the others, despite there being no reason-based explanation for her hesitation. Campion then, against all odds and without any medical intervention to explain it, revives. Campion is deemed special by Mother and is the only child to not get sick when the others do. Eventually, the illness is revealed to be the result of eating the radioactive carbos. Already, it was suspicious that the stillborn Campion, who would be assumed to be the weakling of the group, given his troubled start, was actually more resistant to illness than his siblings. But the reveal about the carbos further complicates matters. It doesn't make sense for him to not be harmed by the radioactive food. Even if he had a natural resistance to radiation, he wouldn't be completely immune to it. The reason why Campion can eat the carbos may be because he already died and was reborn on the planet, fundamentally changing him in ways not yet understood. Tally and Mouse both fell in the pit and came back. One of the biggest mysteries left unresolved at the end of Season 1 is the identity of the cloaked being calling herself Tally, the first child to die on Kepler-22b. Tally fell in the pit off-screen, or so the characters believe, yet she appears to return later in the season, leaving her homemade dolls for others to find and even confronting Campion. Paul's pet mouse, the mouse, was also believed to fall in a pit, yet returned seemingly unharmed. Even the android's mother and father survived entering the pit, despite the intense heat inside the pod, indicated by steam rising from father's blood. They came out of the other tropic side of the planet eventually, seemingly unscathed or even possibly reborn, since mother seemed to have recovered some from her experience giving birth. Presumably, Tally and Mouse should have died from entering the pit, which not only contains intense heat and lava, but an incredible fall. Surely no organic creature could survive that. While it is possible that the mouse simply landed on a branch and climbed back up, Tally is more difficult to explain. The being claiming to be her has not yet been seen. It's hidden under a cloak, and may be a completely different person, perhaps not human. Creature masquerading as the fallen girl. However, that would not explain how it seems to have her memories. The fact that her face has not been seen suggests she no longer has a human appearance. Perhaps the experience has transformed her into something else. Rebirth is another theme in Raised by Wolves Season 1, so the idea that those who die are reborn as something not quite human does fit the show's general ethos. The pits themselves seem to possess some sort of power over those around them. Perhaps they are the catalyst for change. Marcus, Caleb, has been reborn numerous times on the show, narrowly avoiding death during his interaction with Mother, thwarting Ambrose's assassination attempt, then miraculously surviving being beaten and having one of the necromancer eyes shoved down his throat, despite the bloody foam suggesting a massive seizure. Marcus spent a night cuddled next to the pit and then later suspended hanging in it. Perhaps he even died of exposure and was reborn through the pit's power. After all, it wasn't until after his time by the pit that Marcus started exhibiting strange behavior. Even Paul spent some time in a pit, having fallen into one and landing on a branch, and by the finale, he too is hearing the voice of Soul. This begs the question, what happened to the dead embryos Cambion dropped into the pit, or the children whose bodies were buried on the ground? The creatures on Kepler 22b are the other children. The terrifying monsters on Kepler 22b only begin to appear after Campion's siblings all perished, and only appear a few at a time. What's more, these mysterious creatures have humanoid features. On a planet with no other fauna and flora that does not seem capable of sustaining wildlife, the sudden appearance of these large, dangerous creatures is inexplicable. Where have they been all this time? The creatures appear to come from the pit, with some seen eating the moss that grows on the pit's walls. While it's possible that these creatures were in some sort of hibernation, there is evidence to suggest that these creatures are what happened to humans who die on the planet and their bodies are destroyed or are left in the ground. Initially, there were just 2 creatures, but as more and more humans died on the planet, the number of the planet's native inhabitants seems to grow. What the show's title really means. Raised by Wolves challenges traditional family values and connects these plot elements to the show's mysterious title. In Raised by Wolves, Campion and his siblings are raised by 2 androids, a relationship that, according to mother and father, is seen by some as a sin. Androids are clearly not considered viable parents for human children, though whether this is due to their nature being different than humans or their atheism remains to be seen. Likely it's a combination of both. Not only is the title of Raised by Wolves somewhat literal in that human children are being reared by androids, but Mother is revealed to be a vicious, effective killer in episode 1. She quickly dispatches numerous humans who temporarily land on Kepler 22b after Campion sends out a distress signal. She also goes to the Ark and kills many more humans, then takes some of their children back with her to raise them as her own. You may have seen the cast. Raised by Wolves features 3 primary characters. Amanda Collins stars as Mother, a female android who is prominently featured in the trailer. Collin is best known for starring in the Danish films A Horrible Woman, 2017, and The Exception, 2019. Because she's not a familiar face in mainstream pop culture, her Raised by Wolves performance will theoretically be especially impactful, due to the fact that most audiences won't subconsciously link her to other characters or movies. British actor Abu Bakr Salim co-stars as father. Salim portrayed Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins and Pedro in the Sky One series, Jamestown. Australian performer Travis Fimmel, Vikings, rounds out the main cast as Marcus, a villainous character who opposes the philosophies presented by mother and father, and thus urges children to be free thinkers. Aside from the main characters, various performers have been confirmed for every episode of Raised by Wolves. Jordan Laugren, the Infiltrator as Tempest, Ethan Hazard, Giri Haji as Hunter, Winta McGrath, Dr. as Campion, Asaya Shah, Unforgotten as Holly, and Iva Wong, Rogue One, a Star Wars story as Vita. Scott Ridley designed the skin suit. The interviewer asked Ridley, "Did you design the skin suit to help accommodate the pregnancy?" He said, "The skin suit is a metaphor for being naked. I thought, can I do elastic suits? Can I give a female an androgynous look like David Bowie? I wanted Mother to have a short haircut, red hair, and an elastic suit. She has this wonderful demeanor of placidity. but she could become suddenly dangerous. And those suits were so uncomfortable for the actors, they should be credited as stunt people for wearing those outfits every day. In real life, they're made from a latex material, and the idea is that in the future, the material never needs to be washed and won't rip unless you purposefully cut it with a knife. Writers of the show will never read the critics' reviews. Scott Ridley said in an interview that he will never read any reviews after Blade Runner. He said, "No, I knew I had done something special with Blade Runner. I knew it was very challenging in terms of the world I'd done and the story we were telling, but I thought I'd nailed it. I didn't expect such vitriolic criticism. I was slaughtered by Pauline Kael. She never even met me." But what that taught me was to never read critique again, because you have to be your own critic. That's it, folks. Let us know your thoughts on this series in the comment section below. Thanks.